Okay, I'm going to try to do a tutorial here, even though I have to race against the clock. Probably won't shoot very well, but I'll mostly just try to describe how I try to play these holes. I may not execute it correctly because I'm kind of rushing, but if I can at least explain it, maybe that'll be helpful. So this hole used to give me all sorts of problems judging the distance correctly until I figured out that I could hit a punch shot here and hit it close every time. My 120-yard club in punch mode is a 103-yard club, and I find that just by using topspin and backspin, I can usually hit this close with almost any wind. So here we'll play a little bit of wind, and because it's helping a little bit, got a little bit of backspin there, and we'll lay off of it slightly. And this looks like pretty much the shot I hit on this hole every time. And the other nice thing with this hole, particularly this pin placement, is that there's basically no break. So anything inside 10 or 12 feet is more or less a gimme. And I don't know if anybody else has been having this problem, but ever since I did the most recent update last week, my meter is jumping like crazy. So that's not helping either. All right, on most of these par fours, if not all of them, I'm going to tee off with a 3-wood, just so that the approach shot that I'm left with is, kind of in the range that other players likely face, so that, the approaches can be instructive. If I hit my driver off of these short tees, I'll be right up next to the green, and that doesn't help anybody. The problem areas here obviously are short. This ridge is a nightmare, regardless of which side of it you hit on. And this is dead over here. So generally, I'm trying to end up a little long and a little left, something like this. And then anything that lands a little left of this hole tends to run down to sort of this area, and that's a pretty easy putt. But I'm definitely trying to carry it at least to the pin. So this is 130, it's probably playing about 140 yards. Give it a little more backspin than normal and hit a little harder than normal. Miss the ding into the wind if at all. The last thing you want to do is miss the ding with the wind. I've mentioned that before. That carried a couple of yards further than I wanted to, but it's generally in the vicinity of where I was hoping to be. This is a relatively easy putt, especially compared to some of the putts you can face on this green. If you can hit your approach to this position every time, you will make birdie on this hole more often than not, especially once you learn how these putts break. Like that. All right, the trees to the left here just completely ruins your day. I've gotten to the point on this hole where I never, ever, ever flirt with those trees. I lay up here every single time. The approach is stupidly easy, so there's really no reason to flirt with the trees at all. You can hit it right to here, 120 yards up the hill. There's never a lot of wind at Bethpage, so that's rarely a concern on this hole. So with the elevation change, this is probably playing, 128, 129, something like that. This is another green that barely breaks at all around the hole. So even if you're within 10, 12 feet, it's a pretty easy putt. This is too easy an approach to risk it with those trees. There's not enough reward to justify the risk, because you can hit that approach shot every time, and the putts around this hole are all easy. All right, I don't really ever play this hole from these tees, so I'm guessing a little bit on the yardage here. I can tell you that from the longer tees that I play from, where I think this hole is 194 yards, it plays about 172 with neutral wind. So anybody who's legend tier or above and plays those tees regularly, you might just file that away in the back of your mind. Anything to the right of this hole is generally stone dead. There's a slope there, and if you hit 10 feet right of the hole, you'll end up 50 feet right of the hole. So if anything, you want to be left and a little bit long, because if you're in that bunker short, that's pretty dead too. So I'm not exactly sure how far this is. If anything, miss the ding into the wind. There you go, a little long and a little left. That's kind of where you want to be. It's not a hard putt. It's got a little bit of weird break to it, but it's not a hard putt. And if you're in that area every time, you will birdie this hole more often than not. And you're certainly never going to make a 4 from here. Excuse me. All right. I hate this hole, especially this pin. When they give you the pin that's over here where I've put my marker, it's a pretty easy hole. But this pin right here on the edge of this ridge, it's a beating to get to, and the breaks around it are so weird that I really never expect to birdie this hole. What you don't want to do is end up short, that's dead, and what you don't want to do is end up right, that's super dead. Where you want to be is kind of about where I've just put my cursor. A little deep and a little left. And with this left to right wind, I'm aiming even further left. The distance on this is a little bit wonky because I don't usually play from these tees, but this should be okay. Again, if anything, miss the ding into the wind. And there you go. Little long and a little left. That's where you want to be. Now, this putt sucks. Every putt at this pin position sucks. This green, for whatever reason, is super hard to read. You almost never get right on line because the angles are terrible, the camera angles. So this is a guessing game, but I'm not really treating this as a birdie hole really ever. I'm just trying to give myself a chance at it, and maybe I make it. But I'm certainly taking bogey out of play there by playing it where I did. Now, I can drive this green with a 3-wood. In fact, with a tailwind, I can drive it over the screen with a 3-wood. But I'm not going to do that here because I'm not playing for score. I'm playing to try and teach. So if I'm in a position where I have to lay up on this hole, what I'm trying to do is lay up on the sort of middle tier of this fairway. I don't know if there's a camera angle where you can see it. Yeah, there is. So you see where my marker is now, that middle tier. That's kind of where I'm trying to be because that's at roughly the same elevation as the green itself. And that gives me the easiest approach shot I've found. But I don't know from this tee exactly how much I have to lay off of it to get it there. All right, that was correct. So this leaves you a wedge, and it leaves you at almost the same elevation of the green. So as far as approach shots go on this hole, this is about as easy as you're going to get. So it's probably playing, once you factor in wind and elevation, it's probably playing about 95 yards. Like that. I mean, the key to this green is that your approach ends up on the same tier as the hole, because there's 3 tiers on this green, and being on the wrong one is brutal. And for me, getting my approach shot to stop on the correct tier of the green is all about getting my tee shot to stop in that middle tier of the fairway that we saw. All right, this is another one where I'm going to tee off with a 3-wood. Because again, I can drive it right up next to the green, but that doesn't help anybody. You might have just seen that pop up. That's my family's group Wordle chat where everybody likes to share their results. All right, so I included this hole because it took me a while to learn how to shoot to this pin. But what I've learned is that everything, if you land it in this area, it runs right down to the hole. So I'm usually trying to err on short and left here in terms of where I land the ball, because I know it's going to funnel right back around to the hole. Whoops, almost hit the wrong club. I hate that the WGT Caddy always gives you the wrong club to start with. Again, miss the ding into the wind if at all. And then you land this a little short and left, and it kicks right down to the hole. So that's where that's where you should be aiming. And then if you miss it a little bit, you're probably not going to be in terrible shape. If I'd aimed there and missed a little bit right, my ball would have accidentally gone straight at the hole, which isn't the worst place to be. If I'd aimed it at the hole and gone a little right, when it landed, it would have kicked further right, and I would have been 30 feet from the hole. This hole is another one. You know what? I'll go ahead and hit the 3. This might lay me back a little too far, but this hole gave me a lot of problems until I realized how to play these uphill approach shots. And you'll see that a lot of the holes on this course of holes that give me trouble have uphill approach shots. If I land this near the hole, it will oftentimes kick all the way through to that back rough, and especially with super fast, 12, 13, 14 speed greens, any chips or pitches out of that back rough will run all the way to the front of the green. So what I'm really trying to do here is land this quite a bit short and let it kind of roll out up to the hole. And if anything, stay short of the hole so that I can have an uphill putt. This is probably playing about 185. I'm going to give it a little more spin than normal. Again, if anything, I'm trying to miss the ding into the wind slightly. Oh, get up. Oh, you got to be kidding me that didn't carry. That's insane. That was just getting WGT'd there. I thought, if anything, that shot might go a little long. But every now and then, WGT just likes to bend you over the rail, and that was one of those times. So we'll go ahead and pitch this up the hill. That was terrible. It was right at it, but because I mishit it so badly, missed the ding by so much, there was no way it was going to get there. But if the tee shot had landed a yard further, 2 yards further, it would have rolled all the way back to the hole. And it should have. To be clear, it should have landed on the front of the green. There's no way that 185-yard club that I hit should have gone 160 yards. Oh, wait, I want to hit a 3-wood here. That's just WGT lying, which they like to do. This is another approach shot that gave me trouble for a long time. Once you factor in the elevation, whatever, it looks like it should play about 156, maybe 157 with the wind. My experience is this shot tends to play longer than it says, and my experience also is that the easiest place to putt from is back here, a little bit long and a little bit left. So because of that, and because of the fact that it plays longer than it says, you generally want to hit it a little more than it says. So 158, I'm probably going to hit this about 165. I might lay off of it just slightly. I missed the ding a little too early there. That's another one that didn't fly anywhere near where it should have. I don't understand what's going on here. How do you like that?